Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the last set of videos on the build, part 7, where I'm just going to show you how to install the rubber band for the pendulum mechanism and how to get it started and wind it, and then how to troubleshoot it if you're having any issues. When I put it together initially and I wound it up, it did not move at all. And so I'm going to show you some things I did to kind of troubleshoot that and get it to work. So for the last part, we're on page 18, starting at step 1. And we are going to need the full rubber band that wasn't cut. You're going to need, they recommend you use this. I found I was better off without it, but I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. And you might need wax, okay? First things first, what you want to do as far as winding this, this part right here, you want to wind this and turn it so that the that wind piece is facing in this direction, horizontal, and you should also see this part facing down. So I'll show you what I mean by that. This part here, if we turn it clockwise in the direction that the arrows go, you'll hear that clicking and you'll see this part moving right here. We want that. If we turn this and we keep going, you're going to see that's going to start poking through. And when these two pieces get parallel, should be like 1 or 2 more clicks, maybe 1 more right there. That's what we want. So we want this parallel and we want this facing down. So we're going to take our rubber band and we're going to pinch it together like this, and we're going to feed it through this section right here. So right in here, I'm going to feed the rubber band through. And here's where it tells you to use the point of this tool to hook the rubber band in and onto those tabs. I found it was a little more tedious to do that. So instead, I just did it with my hands. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to turn this sideways, and I'm going to take the rubber band that I fed through, and I'm going to hook it right into this section right here, and make sure it seats into that little tab, okay? And now on the opposite side here, I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to start on the minimum. All right, this you'll be able to adjust as you go to use it. You can do minimum, middle, or max, and that's basically the speed that it's going to go. So we're going to get that right in there, and then it's going to be ready to, it's going to be ready to use. We're just going to look over here at how it works. So the stability adjustment is the feet. You want to make sure the pendulum is sitting steadily on its legs. If it doesn't, it might not work properly. So you can adjust the height of these feet if you need to. So to start the mechanism, we're going to turn the knob, that's this part, clockwise 1 full turn, 360 degrees. And that will wind up the pendulum. To wind up the pendulum, you'll push the pendulum bob, which I'll show you. And then if you want to stop the pendulum, you would stop it in its lowest position like this. So let me show you that. So if we turn this like this and wind it 1 full turn, okay, I'm going to set this down. Might be tough for you to see with the overhead view here, but if I let go, that pendulum, see, it's not working if I don't keep it flat on the table. So I'm going to keep it over here. I think you can see it. I'm going to wind it again. Okay, so your pendulum should be swinging back and forth, clicking each time. Okay, and as the windings stop, it gets a little bit slower, right? So that's your minimum speed. If you turn it to the middle, if you move the rubber band to the middle, it's going to go a little faster when you do a turn. All right. Just gonna let that wind down a little bit. And then I'll show you the maximum speed, which would simply be taking the maximum, or the rubber band, stretching it over to the maximum section, and then winding it again. And now the pendulum is going as fast as it can. Okay. Now, some other adjustments that you can make are the pendulum bob. Okay, so if you change the position of the pendulum bob, it can be set to 5 different positions. The higher it sits, the higher the frequency will be of the pendulum's oscillations. That means the back and forth movements. And the bob can be replaced with a coin that would make it heavier and lower the rate of the oscillation, meaning it wouldn't go back and forth as fast. So what that means is if you carefully slide this up, like if I move this up to say like 4, and we try it again, you can see it's going even faster than it was before. And if I stop it, I can stop it at the center there. If I slide this up to 5, let's see what that does. So now it's going super, super fast, right? So those are some adjustments you can play around with, okay? The last one talks about just replacing or rubber band tension, which I already showed you. So when you put it to minimum, middle, or max, that's adjusting the tension of the rubber band. And that also influences the frequency of the oscillation. So the more tension you put on the rubber band, the higher the frequency, the higher the back and forth swinging is, okay? So now just the last thing that I want to go over is some troubleshooting. If you put your rubber band on and you wind the gears and nothing happens, that's actually what happened when I put this together and tried it out for the first time. And I was kind of frustrated and you know, trying to resist the urge of breaking it into pieces, which I don't want any of you to do. Instead, I did some troubleshooting, and basically, first thing I checked was that any of the gears were like not meshing, and all the teeth were lined up and were meshing fine, so that wasn't it. So what I discovered is I think some of the parts that I waxed might have dried out a little bit, so I went and waxed everything. And by everything, I mean the parts that I could reach. I went and scraped around the teeth of the gears that I could reach. I would wind it and then kind of move it manually to get it to kind of go around a little bit. And make the gears move as best as you can and wax them. And then where I really, I think, found that it made the difference is this part right here where the rubber band wraps around. I actually waxed around the entire circular pieces here, because I think what might have been happening too is that the rubber against the wood was kind of not allowing things to move after winding it up. And I would say especially after I waxed that part right there, I did notice a big difference, okay? In it moving back and forth and actually working without me having to actually manually touch the pendulum. The last thing I would say, sometimes if you're not sitting on a flat surface, what I've noticed is if you hold down the base, if the piece is flexed a little bit and it straightens out, that can also help get it to do what you want it to do. So if I lay this down, I can't really show you because it relies on the weight of the pendulum to move. But if I hold it back here, you can see it. So those are some troubleshooting things you can do. Wax is going to be your friend in that situation if it's giving you trouble. If you're having more issues than that, let me know in the chat or an email. and I can help you out in a breakout room as best as I can. Or if you're hybrid, I can help you here in person. All right. So that is the build. We're going to go over some other things. We're going to test out the app that they have. So that'll be another video, and then we'll wrap things up for this project. So once again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed building this and learning a little bit about how pendulum mechanisms work. All right. Thanks for watching.